Quarter score, 8 months and 2 days in the past, I dropped out of college and boy, it's gone fast. I'm on unemployment, I got kicked off my parents' insurance, and I live in a van, but I'm following my dreams, and I'm here to tell you that, yes, you too, you can. Toucan, blue can, smelly old sock. Take your syllabus and tie it in a knot. Red fish, blue fish, Cody's gone nuts. I can't come up with a good intro, but I don't give a So if you clicked on this video, then you may very well be where I was a few years ago, thinking about cutting it off and ending it all. No, I'm not talking about your head. I'm talking about your higher education. Now, there's a whole lot of just go for it advice out there. This is not one of those videos.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a movie director. Everything I did was in service of that goal. But on my 21st birthday, while I was working on a real Hollywood film set, I had a startling realization.
That I was but one of the hundreds of people on set that probably all at one point had aspirations of being the one in the director's chair. And that you could spend a whole lifetime climbing the ladder and never actually be the one in the chair. And I was like, well, that's stupid. That chair doesn't even look that comfortable. If I wanted to sit on canvas, I'd buy a hammock. And so I withdrew. I withdrew from film school. I withdrew from my ambitions of ever becoming a director.
I moved back home, worked some restaurant jobs, and wondered, so now what? Everything I thought I knew about what I wanted out of life had been turned on its head, and to top it all off, in the span of 1 month, I had somehow totaled my car, totaled my brother's car, and had my license suspended in the process.
I don't want to see that on YouTube or nothing.
No promises.
Oh, great. I'm gonna be on YouTube.
All over the place. It's gonna go viral.
Pitch in.
I believe this is what the people in AA call rock bottom. I was lost and confused and honestly pretty fucking depressed. And it stayed like that for quite a while. But what I didn't realize at the time was that that period of total suckery was a most necessary slap in the face.
Over time, I rekindled my love for my camera and started doing as much adventuring as I possibly could with my now best, but at the time, new friend with a license, Lucas, and things finally started looking up.
I started to fall in love with Lucas. Landscape photography. Started to fall in love with landscape photography. And it was there that I learned my first important lesson. That sometimes you don't really know what you want. Sometimes you just think you know. And that the universe is far wiser than you and I. And that it will lovingly rip the thing you want from your clutches if it means that it can give you the seeds of what you really need.
On our days off, Lucas and I were adventuring to and photographing somewhere new nearly every week. But over time, making return trips started to become a drag.
This bus is very thirsty. I am editing in my little DIY dark room. Travis is tired of sitting in the car. I'm tired of sitting in the car. Get a little bit car sick editing in the car.
I wanted to spend less time driving and more time doing what I love in these beautiful places. So I began to daydream. What if I just backpacked the world like a nomad? Sounds fun, but there's no way I would be able to afford that, nor would I ever get to see my family. What about a van? That sounded pretty rad. I could be location independent, still have the tools I would need to create, and have an excuse to grow my hair out and not bathe. But that's all it was. A daydream. I'm a waiter. How the hell would I ever be able to afford that?
What's up, everybody? I am still in my sweatpants. Reason being because I never really unpacked from Arizona. So I just assumed that I would have 2 pairs of pants. And as you can see, I have 1 pair of pants that are a little wet.
Coffee in the forest.
But the more I thought about it, the more it was cemented into my mind. I now finally knew what I wanted. I had a new goal.
Oh my god, selfie stick.
It took me years of saving as much as I could. I was working 60-hour weeks, and at one point I had 3 different restaurant jobs. My travels and my creative endeavors came to a screeching halt.
It sucked. I hated sacrificing my health and my social life and the things that I cared about, just so that I could wait on rich people all day at the Four Seasons, just to get off at 2 o'clock in the morning, take an Uber home because I still didn't have my license back at this point, eat dinner out of the microwave, go to sleep at 3 o'clock, and then wake up tomorrow and do it all the next day for 6 days a week. But I realized that as much as I hated it, I had to kind of embrace it, because if I wanted to stick it to the man, I'd have to work for him just a little bit longer.
Love you too, man. On August 19th, 2018, I served my last table. It was surreal. It honestly felt like the day would never come. By this point, I had been saving over half of everything for over 3 years. My plan was pretty simple. Quit job, backpack across Europe, fly home, buy a van, convert said van, and begin building my career creating the things I wanted to create.
There's literally a selfie stick in the middle of my shot.
Europe was pure bliss. I thought that if this is what the rest of my life could be like, then that would just be too good to be true. And I was right. When I came back, I was greeted with my single hardest challenge yet, converting this empty cargo van into a tiny home with 0 experience. But 8 months later, I persevered and had a fully functioning, albeit not entirely cosmetically complete, home on wheels. Phase 3 was essentially complete.
Which leaves us not too far from where I am right now, that moment that I had been fantasizing about a few years ago. Living in my van and touring the Pacific United States, but I'm still so far from where I want to be. And I dropped out almost 6 years ago. And I'm just now at a point where I'm able to sink my teeth into the kind of work that I want to be doing. And I think that was probably the biggest lesson of all, is that it's gonna take a long time, like way longer than you think. And that it doesn't get any easier. You just have to get stronger and better and improve and grow as a person. If you have a burning desire inside of you and you refuse to give in, there's absolutely nothing you cannot do. I can't say that it's gonna be easy, but it will be so worth it. I would rather spend my entire life struggling to do what I love than spend it succeeding at what I hate. If I could write a letter to past Cody and tell him anything, I would say, Dear Cody, chill the fuck out. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Start where you are and just take baby steps. If you chisel away at the marble just a little bit every day, things are gonna start to take shape. Take care of yourself, take more breaks, and just be more kind and gentle to yourself in general so that you can be a fiery force to be reckoned with in your work. You're not doing yourself or anybody any favors by not taking care of yourself. Because the universe has a great plan for you, but if you try and rush it, it's just gonna force you to slow down. So you might as well pace yourself and at least try and enjoy the journey. And lastly, I would say, don't be afraid to feel discouraged or to ask for help. Was that too much?